Before we dive in, let me speak directly to the core audience of this channel. If you're a serious historian, a survivalist, or someone who loves uncovering the raw, unfiltered truth behind wartime ingenuity, you're in the right place. What you're about to hear isn't surface-level trivia. These are the kinds of battlefield methods soldiers relied on when the rule-book fell apart and survival came down to instinct, creativity, and sheer grit. And before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss these deep-dive breakdowns that honor both history and the lessons it still teaches us today. Now, let's get straight into the heart of the matter. During World War II, soldiers developed survival tricks that were so effective, so unconventional, and in some cases so brutal, that many were outlawed by commanders and post-war codes. Yet they tell us something important. In the harshest environments, human beings innovate fast. Understanding these methods isn't about glorifying them. It's about learning how adversity shapes survival thinking, and how some of these old principles still apply for modern preppers and outdoorsmen today. Some soldiers use controlled starvation to sharpen senses and increase mobility, but commanders later banned the practice. In several Eastern Front units, reconnaissance scouts would intentionally avoid eating full meals before a mission. The belief was that moving on a near-empty stomach heightened awareness and reduced digestive sluggishness that slowed reaction time. While it did sometimes improve mobility and alertness, long-term it led to collapse, erratic decision-making, and impaired cold resistance. Militaries eventually banned the method because some troops pushed it too far and destroyed their endurance. Today, modern survivalists can apply the lesson in a safer way. Avoid heavy meals before tasks requiring rapid movement or silence, but never limit food for prolonged periods. Short-term light fasting can help efficiency. Prolonged starvation will sabotage you. Frontline medics sometimes used improvised tourniquet extensions that worked too well and caused band complications. Some World War II medics, especially in the Pacific, used wire, radio cords, and even metal straps when cloth tourniquets were unavailable. These materials stopped bleeding fast, sometimes too fast. They crushed tissue, caused permanent nerve damage, and sometimes made amputation unavoidable. Armies banned non-cloth tourniquets because, although they saved lives in the moment, the long-term harm was devastating. The survival takeaway today is straightforward. Improvisation is vital, but materials matter. If you ever need a field tourniquet, use wide fabric and avoid thin, rigid materials. Cut pressure, not circulation. Soldiers use silent nighttime freezing to harden boots in place, preventing theft but risking limb damage. In winter warfare zones, boots were as valuable as rifles. On the Eastern Front, soldiers sometimes left their boots outside the tent to freeze solid against the ground, so no one could steal them while they slept. It worked. A frozen boot was impossible to yank away quietly. The problem was frostbite. Soldiers would wake up, force their feet into rigid boots and tear skin or restrict blood flow. Commanders banned the trick as cases of gangrene spiked. For modern survivalists, the principle is still meaningful: safeguard your essential gear, but never at the expense of your body. If you're outdoors, sleep with boots inside your clothing or under your pack, instead of exposing them to the cold. Some units used restricted water intake to reduce sweating during long marches, but it backfired and was outlawed. The idea was simple. Drink less to sweat less, preserving water and staying dry in cold climates. The result was an explosion of dehydration, delirium, and collapse. Commanders eventually banned instructing troops to restrict drinking. The lesson today is crystal clear. Dehydration is never an effective survival method. Instead, ration movement, not water. Walk slower, take breaks, and conserve energy rather than fluids. Certain troops burned gear before retreating to reduce weight, a method banned after unnecessary losses. When mobility meant survival, some squads burned blankets, spare clothing, and even rations to move faster. It helped in the moment, but left them without critical supplies when temperatures dropped or food ran out. Eventually, armies outlawed destroying gear, unless under explicit command. For modern preppers, the principle is this: never discard survival essentials just to feel lighter. Redistribute weight, pack smarter, but don't eliminate what keeps you alive. Some soldiers, tried making smoke-free microfires using cartridge powder, but, the fumes turned out to be toxic, and the method was eventually banned. In those close quarters, or when they were under enemy observation, soldiers desperately wanted flame without the giveaway of smoke. So they'd sprinkle rifle cartridge powder into these little heaps and light it up just to warm their hands, or sometimes heat a tiny bit of food. It did make heat, sure, but the fumes were poisonous, and the burns could be, pretty unpredictable. After repeated injuries and cases of inhalation poisoning, leadership decided to ban the practice altogether. Nowadays, modern survivalists can take a safer version of that lesson to heart. Concealment fire techniques do exist, but you really need to use the right fuel, like dry twigs, small shavings, or alcohol burners, not volatile propellants. Units used controlled hypothermia to stay hidden in snow, but it was eventually banned after deaths. Some snipers would intentionally allow their body temperature to drop slightly to blend into frigid snowbanks without producing visible steam from breath or body heat. It worked for concealment, but it pushed several soldiers into severe hypothermia. Militaries banned the practice because too many died without firing a shot. The takeaway today is that concealment should never compromise your core temperature. Modern ghillie materials and breathable coverings provide insulation and camouflage without lowering your body heat dangerously. Soldiers sometimes slept on warm corpses to survive extreme nights, a method banned as morale collapsed. This is one of the darkest but historically documented survival behaviours on the Eastern Front. In temperatures well below freezing, soldiers occasionally used the body heat trapped in fallen comrades to avoid freezing to death. Although it did keep some alive, commanders banned the practice because it shattered morale, discipline, and psychological stability. The takeaway isn't the act itself, but the underlying concept. Body heat conservation is critical. Today, you achieve the same principle ethically through shared shelters, emergency blankets, and layered insulation. Troops used explosive baiting to deter enemy scavengers, a method quickly banned by command. Some squads rigged abandoned rations or gear with grenades to wound enemy scavengers. It was undeniably effective, but it violated early rules of engagement and caused catastrophic unintended injuries, including to friendly units. it was banned outright. The modern lesson is that traps should never exceed the control of the person who set them. In survival settings, stick to simple, safe, predictable deterrents. Noise traps, line alarms, or basic perimeter setups, never anything that can maim. These banned methods reveal something clear: extreme conditions create extreme solutions. And while many of these tricks were outlawed, each one teaches us something about resourcefulness, risk, and where to draw the line when survival hangs in the balance. If you value deep historical breakdowns and the real survival principles hidden within them, subscribe to the channel and share this video so more history lovers can join us.